Red Sox fans have been asking for weeks, and finally, the Red Sox deliver. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Sorry if there's any background noise. My landlord is currently mowing their lawn, but that's besides the point because for the first time this trade deadline, the Red Sox what feels like really addressed their biggest need, and that is bullpen help. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break this trade down. We're going to talk about who the Red Sox picked up, who the Red Sox gave up, what this means for the 2024 Red Sox, and whether we think this trade was a smart idea. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. If you haven't seen the news yet or you don't really know what we're talking about up until this point in the video, just a couple of hours ago, Jeff Passan announced that the Boston Red Sox were finalizing a deal with the Cincinnati Reds, 30-year-old right-hand reliever Lucas Sims to the Boston Red Sox. Now, this one is a really interesting move, mostly because taking a look at all of his metrics, they're kind of all over the place. There are some really good things in here, especially this season, where he has a 3.57 ERA, which is a 1.21 ERA plus, about 21% better than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball right now, and he has a 10.2 strikeout metric. Plus, he's stranding almost 90% of the batters he is allowing on the bases at 86.9%. There is also some not so good on this stat line here. One is that his FIP is more than a run higher at 4.88, meaning he's getting pretty reasonably lucky on the mound, mostly due to his high walk rate, which is at 5.09 per 9 innings, very well above league average walking. It's also a lot of traffic on the base pass with a whip of 1.415. Overall, career-wise, it's been pretty stable. Not great, but stable. He has a 4.41 ERA with almost an exactly even 4.42 FIP and a 1.281 whip for a 104 ERA plus, just over 4% better than the average pitcher in the league. His walk number is also significantly lower career-wise than it is this season at 4.6 per 9 innings, and on top of all of this, he's coming off a season that he looked really great in. In his last full season in Major League Baseball, which was obviously 2023, he had a 3.10 ERA in 61 innings for a 1.49 ERA plus, 49% better than the average big league reliever. He was also striking out 10.6 batters per 9 innings, and despite still walking a bunch of guys, his whip was at 1.18, which is really, really solid. Like I said, it's a super interesting case because depending on which metrics you want to look at, this could either be a win for the Red Sox, a loss for the Red Sox, but ultimately I think it's somewhere down the middle. However, before we make that decision as to whether or not the Red Sox won or lost this trade, I think there's a couple of things we need to look at very specifically when we're talking about the Boston Red Sox and why they may have targeted Lucas Sims. The Red Sox' biggest bullpen problem right now, mostly due to the fact that Martin and Slayton are on the IL, is the fact that they can't really get into the 9th inning. They can't get the ball to Kenley Jansen right now. A lot of the blown saves that we've seen over the last few weeks have come in the 8th inning or later. The Red Sox needed someone to come in here and be able to provide them with a solid 8th inning. Lucas Sims just so happens to be able to do that. This year specifically, he spent most of his appearances showing up in the 7th or 8th inning, making him a late inning high leverage arm. During that time, specifically in the 8th inning, he's had a 3.86 ERA. Is it a fantastic ERA? No, it's not. It's almost pretty much dead average, but at the same time too, dead average is much better than what the current bullpen is giving the Boston Red Sox right now. On top of this, the Red Sox, looking at the reliever market, could they have gone out and gotten a more superstar level talent than Lucas Sims while also giving up a whole lot more? Yeah, they probably could, but that's not entirely what the Red Sox needed. You've got Kenley Jansen for the 9th inning. You've got Liam Hendricks, Justin Slayton, and Chris Martin all coming back from the IL in the next few weeks. You don't need a superstar reliever because you've got those guys coming back. What the Red Sox need right now is the Red Sox simply needed a competent late inning guy, and Lucas Sims just so happens to be a competent late inning guy. If you take a look at exactly what the Red Sox are missing in this bullpen, Lucas Sims kind of fits that mold perfectly. On top of that, one thing that the Red Sox have struggled with bullpen-wise, both since coming back from the All-Star break and in the month of July in general, is striking guys out at the rate they were at the beginning of this season. We've mentioned it a couple of times when going over Lucas Sims, but this is a guy who gets a lot of swing and miss, and if he could do that in big situations, well, he could end up being a key player for this Red Sox bullpen. Taking a look at his Baseball Savant page sort of backs up exactly what I'm talking about. Lucas Sims has nasty stuff that leads to a ton of weak contact in the top 5% in all of baseball. In fact, that is a whole lot of weak contact. It is going to generate a ton of chase on pitches outside of the zone and swing and misses, which leads to a lot of strikeouts. But again, he is going to walk you if you let him. Take a look at that walk number. It is not exactly fantastic. Definitely the biggest thing. Andrew Bailey is probably going to work with him now that he's on this team. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, speaking of Andrew Bailey, Lucas Sims kind of fits Andrew Bailey's mold really well. He's not exactly a strike thrower, which obviously is something that they're going to need to work on, like we just said, but at the same time too, the movement on his pitches is kind of disgusting. If we're talking in terms of Stuff Plus, which basically measures your movement, measures the vertical break, horizontal break, all that good stuff of your pitches against other players in the league, Lucas Sims has the 11th best Stuff Plus metric on his entire arsenal in the entire sport when it comes to relievers, and the 7th best Stuff Plus metrics when it comes to his slider. So take a look overall. I don't know, man. There is a ton of different ways that you can look at this acquisition for the Boston Red Sox. But again, before we get into whether or not they won or lost this, we're going to have to figure out who they gave up as well. But before we talk about that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into the second half of this video. The player that the Red Sox ended having to give up to get Lucas Sims in a Red Sox uniform is a guy by the name of Ovis, who is the 29th ranked prospect according to SoxProspects.com, and he's a really interesting pitching prospect for the Sox, well, I guess now for the Cincinnati Reds. The 19-year-old had a 3.43 ERA with a 3.64 FIP in 7 games in the Sox Low A affiliate, but the potential there is kind of huge. He had some of the best stuff in the Red Sox system. It was projected to grow into a really strong, at bare minimum, high leverage reliever, but with the ceiling of a real impact starter. I don't exactly love what the Red Sox had to give up here to get Lucas Sims, but I need to hold myself to the same standard I've been holding you guys to when looking at this trade deadline, because taking a look at just where someone is ranked in a system isn't exactly the full picture. What we have to remember here is the fact that right now, this is an absolute seller's market. Teams are flat out demanding what they want in return from other teams, and if they can't meet that, well then, they're not going to trade them this player, right? That's what we've seen basically this entire deadline. And for the Red Sox, at some point they had to weigh what they are willing to give up and what level they are willing to go to. With the Reds, they clearly like this guy Ovis, and the Red Sox clearly maybe not comfortable with giving him away, but willing to do this to make this current team better. And honestly, you have to appreciate that. You have to appreciate the fact that Craig Breslow is willing to take a risk here with a guy who, again, has a ton of potential to really start shooting up rankings when it comes to pitching prospects for a guy who he thinks or he believes is going to help this team win right now. So yeah, is it a lot to give up here? Is this a guy I would have loved to have seen the Red Sox hold on to, because I think he's going to be a guy that you see in a major league clubhouse in 5-ish years making a legitimate impact? Absolutely. But do I also want the Red Sox to try and compete right now? That, to me, right now is more important. You can make up for the loss of a Porter. You can't make up games you've already lost or seasons you've already given away because you didn't do enough. So that's why I'm okay with giving up Ovis. I do want to talk about this trade in general because, in my opinion, this is the first one where I've really been like, yeah, this is going to be a guy that we are going to see the immediate impact of. James Paxton, Danny Jansen, I didn't hate those moves. I think they were kind of dead in the middle here. And while they were moves that technically addressed Red Sox problems, this is the first one that I've been like, oh, the Red Sox had a big issue in their bullpen, and what they went out and got got maybe wasn't the biggest name in the world, but it was a guy whose metrics align perfectly with where the Red Sox are lacking in this bullpen, and I really think that's going to be a big impact for this team. So overall, I can't say I don't hate this move. I actually really like it. In fact, I would venture to say this is going to end up being a win for the Boston Red Sox. Now, obviously, we can't figure out if these trades were good or bad until these guys put on a uniform, get out there, and play the second half of this season, right? Lucas Sims could end up totally falling apart in the second half here, and the Red Sox gave up Ovis Porter for nothing. But if Lucas Sims, the Red Sox believe, can give them even 2 or 3 more wins on the season, or get themselves to a position where they can give them 2 or 3 more wins in a season, that could be absolutely massive. So I absolutely love this trade on the surface for the Boston Red Sox, despite the fact that I really do still think that Ovis is way too much to give up for a reliever. But again, I've been holding you guys to the standard all deadline. I have to hold myself to that standard. And so taking all biases aside, looking at this trade from a Reds perspective, from a Red Sox perspective, from an MLB perspective, especially with where the market is right now, it's honestly hard to complain about the Red Sox going out and getting a legitimate, competent major league reliever for a guy who's not even in the Red Sox top 25. But we're going to have to wait and see how this trade truly plays out. So before that happens, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? What do you think about the Red Sox acquiring Lucas Sims? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Where do you think he fits in with this team? And do you think it addresses the Red Sox need? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest trade in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton. Best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, we are now putting our episodes back out in podcast form, so if you want to listen instead of watch, all you got to do, head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Hopefully, I see you guys later today with more trade deadline news, but until then, in the Red Seats.